This way, please, Kate.
One last time, right here. Right there. Let's see the front of the head.
It's such an interesting movie, and so of these times and what it's talking about, and and what we've gone through in the last few years. She's a symbol of that. And
yes.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing I found about the screenplay was that it was drawing on not only what is going on in the zeitgeist at the moment, socially and economically, in the wake of the banking collapse, and the banking, the amorality that's going on Wall Street, and globally. But it was also it also delved into this long, deep line in American drama, which deals with delusion and reality. And when you do look at any of Tennessee Williams' creations, Blanche Dubois being the most obvious, but you think about the writing of Eugene O'Neill, married Tyrone, someone who chooses fantasy over reality because the world is just too brutal. I mean, he does understand that, but that he never ever, in parallel to those two things, he keeps it buoyant. So he's always undercutting any earnestness in the piece, which is a very, very interesting and unique texture, I think.
It totally is. I have to ask you one thing. My wife is making me ask you this. She says every woman would notice this in the role. She said you had stains under your armpits here on the blouse that you were
Didn't
wearing.
anyone tell me? Is that what she's thinking?
She thinks that is very indicative of the character's disintegration at a certain point. Too.
Well, I mean, given that she's on a cocktail of drugs and alcohol, and I mean, for anyone who've been around people who are having a panic attack or are unstable, they'll often have physical conditions that they won't necessarily acknowledge themselves. And so I thought it'd be interesting if I was incredibly sweaty at certain moments. So it's clearly having a physical manifestation of anxiety, but yet she was not acknowledging that at all and pushing through it. Because I think that that's what I find heartbreaking about people who are dealing with any form of mental illness or anxiety, is that they rarely want to dwell in that place. They want to move through it. So I found it an interesting sort of texture to play with the physical and mental state that she was in.
In my perfect world, I would stand here in front of you, calm, poised, remarkably confident. I would command your attention and deliver an introduction the way I imagine Cate would. Effortless, unpredictable, charming, disarmingly confident, perfect. However, unfortunately, I'm not Cate, and I'm really just an awestruck superfan who was lucky enough to be asked here. So I'm going to make a very genuine attempt, through my shaking voice, to give her the honor she deserves. I remember the first time I saw Cate. I was 13 years old, and I went to the local movie theater to see Elizabeth. I remember when she came on screen. I can remember the feeling that washed over me, seeing her with her piercingly blue eyes and her alabaster skin, her ethereal grace and magnetism taking over the screen, even in her silence, even in her stare. It was one of the moments I knew for sure I wanted to be an actor, but more than that, it was the moment I knew I didn't just want to be an actor, I wanted to be an actor like Cate. And from that day on, I remember following her and watching her, being seduced over and over with each performance, each and every character distinct, wildly different from the next. I never knew what to expect from her. I could never predict a line or a feeling. I would go looking for Cate Blanchett, but Cate Blanchett was never there. It was always someone else, someone new I had never seen before. I'm often asked, whose career do you admire? Or if you could choose an actress who's had the most influence on you, who would it be? And I've always been very hesitant to vocalize the one or commit to a person. And there are so many influencers worth fawning over, but the truth of the matter is the virtues that I admire most about Cate are the ones that I could never disclose publicly. I sort of liken them to private little treasures that I visit for inspiration, for motivation, for reassurance or courage.
Thank you. Thanks, Pete. And to Roger and Doug and everyone at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. I will come back again if you can invent another award for me in another 4 years. I do not know how to do this thing called acting unless it's alongside other actors. So, and also to be recognised in a year where the performances, women in particular, but also the men aren't too bad, are remarkable. I mean, I just cannot believe that you've chosen to give this to me, but thank you so very much. It's a great honour indeed. And I want to thank the cast, because as we may have said or alluded to in the chat before, and I won't rabbit on too long because I've rabbited on long enough, is that they're often done in one shot. And so a performance is only as good as the gaze of the other actors that you're looking into. And when you're working with Sally Hawkins and Alec Baldwin and Bobby Cannavale and Max Kinsella and Peter Sarsgaard and Louis C.K. and not that I had anything to do with Louis C.K., but just the fact that he's there makes us all better. So that's for them. But also I really must thank, given that one's career isn't linear, one's career is random and unexpected, and if it's any good, it's full of surprises and a lot of failure along the way. And I would like to thank and recognise everyone at the Sydney Theatre Company, the most remarkable theatre company that I've had the great good fortune to work amongst those people for the last 6 years, because the robust nature and the elastic nature of the stage and the really clear and available sense of audience that it forces you to recognise is such a gift when returning to the film industry, because you can be so dislocated from your audience. And that's why these things, these forums at the Santa Barbara Film Festival are so wonderful, not just because it gives people like me the chance to talk non-stop about myself, but it's a forum, it's an interaction, and that in the end, it's that interaction, whether you're on screen or stage, between an audience and what we all do, because it's for you. It's a generous medium, and thank you for being so generous to me tonight. Thank you.